We had an amazing experience on the first trip, long way round, and I don't think any of us could quite believe it, that we'd achieved it. We rode from London to New York, and in the time that we had set aside, and that we'd had such an extraordinary experience. Some of it was very tough, the terrain, but the people we met it was amazing to meet people whose lives are so completely different to ours. In America and in Europe, we have a way of life, but the rest of the world, it doesn't really bear any relation to our way of life, so it's quite important, I think, to go out and witness it. And so it wasn't long after we got back that we started getting the maps out, and we were looking at maps, and we decided there was two kind of obvious next routes: Africa or the Americas, South and North America. And we worked with UNICEF on the first trip. We visited some of their projects, and we're very moved by the work we saw them doing and the kids that they help. And although they have projects globally, UNICEF, they have many in Africa, and we decided that we visited some of those projects after doing Long Way Round with UNICEF, and we decided to go off and see if we could conquer the whole of the continent, to tackle it from north to south, which we did. My wife came with us on this trip. On the day before we started our prep, she came to me and said that she wanted to join us on the journey, and she wanted to ride her own bike. And I've been married to Ev for almost 13 years, and she's barely been on the back of my motorcycle. She's not really interested. But she wanted to be part of this one and ride her own bike, so she learned, and she came and we met her. She flew into Johannesburg and drove up with these guys in the bike on the back of a pickup truck to the border of Malawi. And we met her there from Tanzania. We met her in Malawi, and she rode down the whole length of Malawi and across Zambia with us, which was brilliant. It was really nice. We didn't come across any difficult situations with people. And all of our preparations, we like to interview people, and we go and do survival courses, and do properly prepare ourselves for any eventuality, but also try and get people's advice. And we were staggered with the amount of negative response we had from people about travelling in Africa, and the dangers, and one guy told us that we would be macheted by machete-wielding African villagers, and it's this fear that's passed from one person to another and we didn't come across any violence, any danger. We never felt uncomfortable anywhere. We went through Ethiopia, and I think for me it was one of the highlights of the trip. It was the country I think I found I was so moved by it. It's staggeringly beautiful. The northern part of Ethiopia, the highlands there, are absolutely beautiful, and you never stop for more than 5 minutes before you're surrounded by these little kids who come out of the forest and the woodwork, or they just come out of nowhere, it seems. And there are lots of they're little raggedy children, and a lot of them weren't very well, and they had snotty noses, and you could see that they had bad eyes, and they don't really have any access to medication up there or clean water. And I found that was it was quite tricky to be witnessing that all the time. But I was very moved by them. They're very cheeky, funny little kids, and they're quite challenging. Some of them are quite funny. As a father, you're constantly imagining how you would feel if this was happening to your children, and a lot of what you see would be completely unacceptable. And it's very difficult to deal with and to walk away from. But for the fact that you're there with UNICEF or their partners, and you know that people are trying to do something about it, that's the only way you can kind of bear it. But it's great. It is amazing work. I think it's got to be the best work in the world to be trying to help those kids. So I would encourage people to do that if I could.